Hi, everybody. My name is Vidula Ball, and I look after talent and development at AP Moller Maersk. And we are thrilled to have you joining us for this session today on our recruitment process. And I'm joined by my friend and colleague, Morten Eilertsen. And so, Morten, you want to introduce yourself a bit?
Yeah, sure. My name is Morten Eilertsen, and I look after talent attraction in Maersk.
Yeah. And so we're super excited to be here today, and I want to thank you, so many of you who submitted questions in advance of this session. And so we're going to be taking you through a couple of those areas that you were curious about so that you can get to know us a little bit better. And please, I would encourage you to continue kind of sharing your questions in the chat, and we'll either be trying to answer them live right now or after the fact, after we close the show. And so we're going to start with your questions on general recruitment. And so the first one I think that we got asked quite a bit is about people wanting us to explain the application process when someone's pursuing a job at Maersk. And Morten, will you explain that?
Yes, absolutely. So the application process always starts with you submitting your application through our job portal. And just to be clear, all our jobs are always posted on the job portal. That is the way to submit. After this, we go into an application review process with our recruitment specialists. So they will go through all the applications, and for those applications that are successful, we may follow up with a phone interview to learn a little bit more about you, or it goes straight into the face-to-face interview stage. So this is where you might meet a representative from human resources, hiring managers, or other colleagues that we think would be relevant. We try to get several eyes, diverse eyes on each candidate, because we want to make sure we get a broad sort of perspective on each candidate. There may also be assessments during this time. It could be a business case study that you do, or any kind of job-specific assessment like on safety or coding if you're going for an engineering job. But it all depends on the role you're applying for. The final stage is really the selection process, which is on our side, and that's where we, based on all of the factors that we've considered throughout the process, we will make the selection on who we think is the right candidate for the job. I think there was also a lot of questions around how long time does the recruitment process typically take? And I think it's difficult to give one answer to it, right? Because it depends a lot on the role. It depends on the complexity of the role. The more complex, the longer it will typically take to fill the role and to go through the process. Also because of the extra assessments and interviews that might be involved in that. So it's really difficult to say. We always aspire to finish a recruitment process as quickly as possible, but on the other hand, we want to make sure that we get access to as big and diverse talent pool as possible, while also ensuring that the process has been of a high quality and fair.
Yeah, I think to build on that, I think we also want to make sure that you have a good experience through that process as well. So that you can kind of understand who we are and what we're all about, and sort of feel what this exciting organization does, and how we engage with one another. So, this leads me to the next question that people have asked, Morten, and that is, do we have an ideal candidate to be a Maersk employee?
I don't think you can really say that there's an ideal candidate for Maersk. First of all, again, it depends so much on which role and function you're applying for, right? What kind of requirements do we have, or wishes do we have for capabilities, mindsets and behaviors? Plus, we really see one of our big competitive advantages is also the diversity of our people, right? So you should be valued for who you are and what you contribute. If I should say one thing or a few things that are more or less common denominators for what we look for, it's that as we execute globally, right, we are a complex business, we're definitely looking for collaborators. That is super important, and there's not one single team here that can perform successfully on its own. Other than that, of course, a level of curiosity, eagerness to learn, and values that are, of course, compatible with the Maersk values are important things. But otherwise, you should be able to come as you are, right?
That's lovely. And so you mentioned this a bit ago, and people have been asking us, are IQ tests required to work here?
Yeah, we don't have a IQ, sort of a standard process of including IQ tests, actually. There are other assessments that we typically use more, which are, like I mentioned, the business case studies or more role-specific assessments. There are areas where, for instance, if you work in a terminal on a vessel, certain safety assessments will be will be really important to go through, because we want to make sure that everybody who joins us has the necessary safety mindset.
Wonderful. The next questions around the general recruiting process was about a particular sort of targeted audience, and around the questions about what are we doing for new grads. And Morten, maybe I can take this one and then you can chime in and build on what I say. And so we always have jobs available to new graduates. And depending on the job that you're interested in, we may require a number of years of experience before you can apply or be considered, but you will always see that in the job ads that we post. But when it comes to early career talent, I think we're pretty well known for having a long-standing or a history of having a graduate program. And at the moment, we don't have a formal graduate program that we're offering. We might do so in the future, but we're focusing on people who are early in their careers through other kind of opportunities. So we're looking forward to building internship programs, which I think are particularly relevant to folks that are kind of studying in the technology space. We're looking forward to building additional apprenticeships opportunities. And so those are some of the ways that we target folks that are early in their careers. Morten, is there anything that you'd build or say on top of that?
No, I think you're absolutely right. The only thing I would say is I myself started as a student assistant back in the day as well, right? And that was a really good experience. So I would definitely recommend anybody to join, and you can absolutely join also without work experience, right? I've had a good 10 years since joining as a student assistant, and it's been a good journey.
Okay, I'm going to put Morten on the spot here and ask him just about his own career. So how did you go from being a student to having sort of a full-time role in the organization? What did it take from you?
Yeah, what did it take? That's a good question. Of course, first of all, a successful interview process, right? And I really felt like I clicked with the organization as well. Got to learn it at that stage, and then I think it was really about grabbing the opportunities that came when you were in here. I think we're a company that has a strong legacy also of taking risks on people, and that's something that you feel already at an early stage. If you actually have the capacity and the willingness to learn and try out something new, you really have good opportunities to do that. And at least I like to think that it was because I grabbed some of those opportunities that I was able to stay on for a full-time employment after my studies ended.
I love it. Thanks for sharing, and thanks for letting me put you on the spot, Morten. There's another question. Here's the last kind of question that folks have related to general recruitment, and it's about the kinds of roles that we're hiring for right now.
Yeah.
So what are we seeing out there? You want to go first, and I'll add?
Yeah, absolutely. Great. So I think the last I checked, we had about 640 plus, so 1,640 plus roles across the world. So there's a lot of roles, and it's really quite a wide range. I don't know if I'm pressed to give you some main jobs. I would say we recruit currently for a lot of software engineer roles around the world, and in general there are a lot of roles within technology, supply chain management and logistics. Finance and sales and customer experience as well, but even beyond these, there is a wide range of roles available. So it's really just to go in and check it out on our job portal, which is on our website.
Wonderful. Yeah, it's on Maersk.com. Okay, so then we're going to move from kind of the recruitment process to the questions that a number of you have about what it's like to actually work here. And so, Morten, we're a global company, and so what can we tell folks about opportunities to work abroad?
Yeah, we are a very global company, right? We work across 130 different countries, 85,000 employees, and that means there are international opportunities, and it's something we've always had a strong legacy of doing. And I think that's something that's been immensely invaluable to those of us that have gone on international experiences, both personally and professionally, and for the company as well, because we build those diverse perspectives that we need in order to properly reflect our global customers. On the other hand, I would say the past couple of years of the pandemic has also, of course, limited to some extent international mobility, and I think that has also shown that it's very possible for us to also make these international connections virtually. So either way, I would say whether you're interested in an international career or not, you will still get to work with the world in Maersk. I
think that's a nice way to put it, because we do work with the world every day, don't we? All right, so the next question that we had about working at Maersk was about our compensation system, and I'll answer that one. The question specifically was, do employees get bonuses? And here's what I would say. I want to talk about that in the framework of like a broader sense of rewards and recognition. So to that question directly, there is a bonus system in place that is based on the overall company performance and is paid out once a year. But beyond that, we have other things that I think make this place a rather special place to work. And so we have a spot bonus system for a moment where a colleague does something really amazing and we want to recognize that effort and that outcome. We also firmly believe in the power of recognition and how important it is for people to receive positive feedback about what they do. And sometimes in the workplace, we don't hear that regularly enough. And so that's something that's important to us. Am I forgetting anything?
No, you're doing fantastic.
Okay, thank you. Thanks. Okay, so that was the question about compensation. And there's another one that I think is a company we've been known for historically, and that's about opportunities to develop and grow. And so I'll start here, since I think for both of us, it's an area that's near and dear to our hearts. And so I would argue that at Maersk, kind of learning and being curious, as Morten alluded to earlier, are really important, and that we do things to help our colleagues sort of have those two characteristics over the courses of their entire careers. So we offer formal learning opportunities by way of coursework and programs that people do. We offer access to online learning that our colleagues can take advantage of. And then some of you who might be closer to the HR field than not, we also have opportunities to learn from experience, which if you're a bit of a nerd like I am in terms of HR, you know that the bulk of learning that leaders do comes from on-the-job experiences that they have. And so we really believe that the challenges that we give to people in terms of their work are ripe opportunities for learning. And so those are equally important. And then finally, I would just say, I think there's an endless opportunity to learn from others and the way that they do their work or the way that they lead. There's always somebody that you can kind of tap on the shoulder and ask how they do something. So really just a wonderful atmosphere in that regard. I see a question has popped up. We've got an iPad here in front of us. A question has popped up from all of you out there about does Maersk have any return to work programs, especially for women returning back to the workforce after a maternity break? And I would say there, yes, we are so proud of that program that we have that allows women to take time away to be with their families and their new babies after a maternity break. And then we also offer them the opportunity to come back at a reduced load so that then they have an easy kind of on-ramp back to the organization. What am I missing?
No, I think that's exactly right. And I think it's been such an important program to make sure that it is actually easy for women to feel that they can go back to the workforce after parental leave.
Perfect. All right, so the next question still about what's it like to work at Maersk is the question about, is it possible for me to change careers? So let's say that I start in operations. Could I ever expect to take a role in sales or customer service? Morten, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think, again, and going back a little bit to what you said before, it's so much about the experiences you build, right? And we also want a talent management, you could say, structure where it's based on the skills that you have and the skills you can build, right? So we all have our international or our personal development plans and performance dialogues, right? Also including what are our aspirations for the future, where do we want to go, and we have structures to make sure that we can attend those learning modules or capability building, and together with our manager we can set the path up for making that move that you want. I think we've seen a lot of successful moves across functions, like from operations to sales, as a really good example.
Yeah, wonderful. And again, we think that relationship that a person has with their line manager is critical. And so what you can imagine when you come join is that your line manager is going to help you explore possibilities, have candid conversations with you, ask you what you want to do. So again, our intent and our hope is to design that kind of an organization where we can have those discussions regularly, and that's what we're working towards. The next question I'll tackle, and it's a question about flexible working at Maersk, and is it possible to work from home? And here's how I would answer that question. I think it's important for everybody to remember that we are quite a diverse organization in terms of the roles that we have and the roles that different colleagues play. So some of us kind of operate and work on vessels. Some of us work in terminals. Some of us work in warehouses and depots. And what flexibility looks like in those contexts is a little bit different than what it looks like, and sometimes significantly different, if I'm being honest, from what flexibility looks like in the office. And what I would say is that the pandemic, I think, has taught all of us a lot about what flexibility means and how we can do or deliver it. And so here's what I would say is that we are offering opportunities where people have a possibility to work from home if they work in an office environment, but at the moment, we don't stipulate that everybody must be in an office 100% of the time, nor do we say that everybody works from home 100% of the time. So that's kind of where we are today. Hang on, I'm looking. We have, so there's a question about what are the options for seafarers who are already within Maersk. I'm going to ask you to hold that question for a bit, and I promise we will answer it in just a moment. But we're going to continue with our program, and we'll focus a bit on your questions about our culture. So Morten, having been here for almost 10 years, how would you describe the culture at Maersk?
Yeah, it's probably difficult to do that sort of in a very brief answer. I think some of it we've already discussed, right? So the fact that we are such a global company across so many countries and with so many people means that that when you work with Maersk, you work with the world, right? It's a truly international place, and where a really strong part of it is that representing the customers from around the world and embracing the different perspectives that we all bring. I think that's something you really feel. We're customer obsessed, right? So we always do what we can to learn everything there is to learn about our customers and understanding their contexts and their pain points. And within that, I would say we share a pioneering spirit in a way, right? So in everything we do to help our customers succeed, we're not afraid to be the first to take a leap, right? And I think that, together with the different perspectives we all bring, has also helped us get a leadership position in the industry. So I think that pioneering spirit is something that is fun to be in, right? Because we dare to take risks on the company and on each other. We also, that leadership position that we have, I think it's also something that we take quite responsibly, right, towards environments and societies and communities, something that I think is also important to a lot of us. And that's something that I at least see as a key element of our culture, is also doing things the right way. And finally, I guess I would say there's something about when you're part of this culture, again, that there's space for everybody to be who they are. I think all of these things means that Maersk is a place where you can be part of and belong to something meaningful, and then at the same time also unfold your own potential.
I love it. And I think that links sort of to another question that had come up from all of you about what our commitments to diversity and inclusion are. And I want to say that as a company, we firmly believe that diversity, equity, and inclusion are essential to our success as an organization, and that we have made some commitments related to the points that Morten was just talking about. So we are committed to having, as you just said, if I can paraphrase, we're committed to creating an environment where every colleague feels comfortable being their full and total selves when they're at work. And so that means creating the right kind of inclusiveness for people to feel comfortable. Another thing that we're committed to actually is recognizing and doing things to reduce the bias that all of us have when it comes to taking decisions about people. And so it's a place where we're investing a lot to help folks that are making people-related decisions kind of recognize and minimize or mitigate the biases that they bring to the table. And then the other thing that we're committed to is diversity. So diversity in leadership, diversity in candidate pools, because again, we think it's important We think the different ideas that diverse colleagues all around the world kind of bring to the table actually help us serve the customer better than we could, faster than we could, if we all happen to be the same or similar. And so it's a big commitment that we're making. And one plug that I want to make is that if you're interested in this topic, please come back to our website, maersk.com, tomorrow, where we will be publishing our sustainability report. And so you can read more about that tomorrow. Anything to add on that point?
No, I think you got it.
Okay. And so here's, I think a lot of people are also wondering, do we think that our employees are empowered to take decisions? Do you want to go first on that one?
I think we do, and I think, as I also mentioned before, there is this intrinsic willingness to take risks on each other here, and I think that's such a great source of personal sort of potential, but also to make a really big impact, right? Because you are empowered to make decisions, and I think that's a key thing to be able to do, and if it's in such a big company as this one, it also means the impact you have is significant, right? So I think so, yeah.
I'm with you too, and I think what I would build on in terms of the comments that you made, Morten, is that I agree. In fact, I think it's a necessity for us to have colleagues that are empowered to take decisions, because that's the level at which we can best serve our customers. And so we need to enable that, and are enabling that to happen kind of around the globe, because that's where kind of the ideas come from. That's where our colleagues really understand those pain points that our customers are facing. So I think the short answer to that question is yes, our employees are empowered to take decisions. Okay, here's the last one, and there's a curiosity about whether we have a dress code.
Yeah, it's no, we don't have a written dress code. I think again, people should feel free to come as they are, and be valued for who they are, right, and what they contribute, and not what they wear. So I would say, yeah, we dress for our day. And it's I guess it shouldn't be a lot more complicated than that.
That's a nice way to put it. Dress for your day. Okay, so now maybe we can move into some questions that a few of you have asked specifically around seafaring roles. And so one of the questions that I think we'll tackle here is, what are the options for seafarers who are already within Maersk? Do we need to apply from scratch? And so let me sort of put two spins on that question, and then Morten, you can chip in if I forget something. So the first spin is that one of the things that we're very interested in doing more of in the future is actually giving seafarers who are interested in shore-based roles kind of opportunities and vehicles to make their way from sea to shore roles. So that's something that's going to be coming in the near future that I am really excited about. But the other thing is if you have worked on a vessel before, you may reapply to work with us again, and if that's the context in which the question was asked. And just know that kind of the impact that you left in the first time you were with us will sort of go with you along to the next role. So we do look at kind of the service that you provided when you were with us the first time. And then there's another question here about Morten, how can somebody join a cargo vessel crew? Yeah, it's I guess at the overall level, it's the same as for everything else, right? It is through the job portal. Mm-hmm. So all of our seafarer jobs are also posted on there. So that's where you should have a look, right? It will all be posted there, and in each of the job descriptions for the different rankings we are hiring at will also be clear from the job. So what are the requirements for this level, etc., and do I have everything it takes for this job? It should always be very specifically addressed in the job ad. Wonderful. And there's another question regarding seafarers about, as a future-focused organization, do we have plans to increase the opportunities for freshers from the shipping and maritime industry? And I must confess that I learned what freshers means earlier today. It's a term that a friend of mine said is used in India, right, to refer to new graduates in those industries. And so the answer to that question is yes, we hope to increase our recruitments of new graduates in the maritime industry, and particularly women in that industry and who've gone through training. That's really important to us as well. And then a question also related for those of us early in our career as cadets, are wondering whether there are any written tests for cadets. And the answer is yes. We ask folks to do a test as well as a personal interview. So important that we get to know you in as many ways as we possibly can that reduce our biases, as we alluded to earlier. What did I miss?
I'm not sure you missed anything.
Oh, good. Okay. But here we are. We have a couple of minutes left. And so, I just wanted to highlight the points that we made earlier about what it's like to work in this great company, and really that you feel like you work with the world when you work at Maersk. And I was thinking back to my week this week, and the fact that over the course of just 3 days, I've had an amazing opportunity to work with colleagues from, obviously, Denmark, where we're filming from today. I've had an opportunity to work with colleagues from the UK, from Spain, from India, so many different places, from Greece. And so this is really a place where we all kind of come together and work under the guide of our values, our core values, which are super important to us, right? In order to, kind of deliver important work for the world. And so I couldn't kind of stop the session without framing that. And so maybe as a way to sort of start to wind us down, unless we see other questions kind of come up in the chat, right, there are a few things that we want to point out, just as Morten did, to underscore the roles that we currently have available and that are showing in our portal. And so he mentioned specifically roles in technology, specifically engineering roles in that space, as well as others. And then also logistics and services / supply chain roles that we have quite a few of right now. So those of you that have backgrounds in that arena, do check out those roles. But beyond those two areas, we also have lots of roles today posted in, I just took a look before I came to the studio, that we have so many roles posted in finance, in operations, in sales and customer service, in HR, which is the function that's near and dear to our hearts. And so really we encourage you to check out the website. Yeah. Would you add anything?
No, just that maybe that the website you have to check out, of course, is www.maersk.com/careers. And that's where you find information about our workplace, how you apply, also some tips and tricks about the recruitment process and how can you prepare yourself for interviews. And then finally, of course, the vacancies portal. So yeah, I think there's that. And then, of course, if there are no other questions, I would also say that this is a series, right, where there will be upcoming sessions also on specific functions like technology or seafaring specifically. So keep an eye out on that, because hopefully we can then dip even deeper into some of your questions for those specific job areas.
Wonderful. And so I think with that, we'd just like to thank you for taking time out of your busy days to join us, and especially also not just for joining us, but participating in this conversation, because I don't think we could have had the discussion that we did without your good questions. So we're humbled by your interest, and we look forward to seeing you on the job portal. Thank you, everybody, for being a part of this today. Thanks, Morten.
Thank you.